नमस्कार। आज की इस व्याख्यान श्रृंखला में आपका स्वागत है और आज हमारा विषय रहेगा मोइरांग, जहां भारत की मुख्य भूमि पर पहली बार आजाद हिंद सरकार का झंडा फहराया था कर्नल शौकत अली मलिक ने। We discuss the significance of Moirang today, 14th April, and in this discussion we have Professor Dr. M.S. Pal, a renowned surgeon from Bengal. You are aware, after so many now discussions and lectures with him, who's worked on Netaji, written many books, and spent a long time of his life researching on Netaji. So, Dr. Pal,
yes,
we'll
discuss,
start the discussion.
This Moirang Day, from historical standpoint, is very, very important. This Moirang is physically a place. Now you are northeastern region. It was in Manipur. Recently, this part is going to be transferred to the Meghalaya area.
Oh, there is some move going on.
Some yes, change in the border reorientation.
Okay.
And Moirang one time was the center of life of this western part of this hills area. That is this hills area here, and bordering also the Burma. And this hills area habitated by the tribes, Naga and all these Cookies, all these tribes. Yes, these tribes.
Many of the tribes.
One time, and then the capital of from this area shifted to Imphal.
Okay.
And in Second Great War, this front, INA has got two fronts at that time. One is the Arakan front.
Arakan in Burma.
Yes, against this hilly Chittagong in the southern part.
Yes.
Other to the northern part, that is the Imphal Kohima front. Very important. You think of the Imphal Kohima front. In 43, you see on the Allied side here, on the British side, the British Indian Army positioning, British Army, Australian Army, Canadian Army, Chinese Army from the north. So many forces against whom the INA and the Japanese Army.
Nippon forces, Japanese.
And Japanese had got that long line of thousands of miles, the distant yet fighting. But numerically, this force, joint force, British Indian Army, British Army, North Chinese Army, Canadian Army, Australian Army, all are here. And at that time, plain land of Bengal is full of American forces and American air forces being backed from behind. And in this background, importance of the Moirang. Moirang is the area where first we hurled our national flag after defeating the British Army, helped by the Japanese Army.
Let me say something here for our viewers.
Yes.
That the first flag on Indian soil, mainland,
hoisted.
You see, first was done on 30th December.
Actually, in Andaman.
In Andaman.
Port Blair
by Netaji on 30th December.
Yes.
And now, after that, when the Arakan front was opened in Burma, when the Indian forces moved on to the Indian soil, it was Maudong. Now it is in Bangladesh. So we don't celebrate that because it has gone to Bangladesh. But Indian forces moved into Maudong, and in Maudong it was Colonel Mishra and Meher Das and all who led the forces. And there also it's very interesting that the Japanese wanted the Azad Hind Fauj to wait for a day and then attack Maodong, and they said nothing doing. The soldiers were so enthusiastic, and those scenes have been explained by some of our INA veterans, where they say that the moment they entered Moirang and put the Indian tricolor over there, the soldiers, they lay prostrated on the ground, they kissed the
soil.
So what I seen it could have been. Yes. And then these forces then from there move to Imphal side and they come to Manipur.
Yes.
And then in Moirang, this is taken, the way to Britishers are on a retreat.
On 13 they retreated, and 14th our national flag was hoisted.
National flag went up. And when this national flag went up, Colonel Malik and one Japanese officer,
E.T.
and Koirang Singh.
Koirang Singh of Manipur, the local leader.
It was Koirang Singh who translated the speeches of Malik to the local people over there. And you see the kind of enthusiasm there. More than 600 people from Manipur, they joined the.
Yes.
And not only that,
even the revolutionaries from Bengal secretly went there. Jugantar
and even the revolutionaries from Chittagong and these nearby areas of Jugantar,
Anushilan,
they all went towards Manipur. And I found a very interesting report very recently, which said, and this is mentioned by Asha Bharti Sahay also in a diary, that Jayaprakash Narayan
tried to.
When he fled to Nepal.
From Nepal he was trying to contact.
Yes. From Nepal he went up to Manipur to meet Netaji. He could not meet Netaji because Netaji was at some other place at
But he was arrested by the British by this time.
But this was there. And let us not forget another thing also, that it is after this Moirang thing that the Britishers made Nehru tour Assam. And the propaganda given was that it is Japanese imperialism which is coming, because they used to call Azad Hind Fauj as JIF, Japanese Indian Fighting Force.
Yes.
And where Nehru gave this statement that I will fight with a sword in my hand, Netaji, if he comes with the Japanese to attack us and all that. Well, look at this kind of a thing.
And for a period of months,
of the British.
For a period of months, about 1500 square kilometers came under us, or Azad Hind government.
Till 14th of July.
Yes, it was under.
Shaukat Malik is there. Then the Britishers are doing heavy bombing. And it is unless this office is bombarded his house, he doesn't retreat.
And Dr. A.C. Chatterjee was made the governor of this area.
Yeah, he doesn't retreat. And from here, many more other, you see, Shaukat Ali Malik was expert in espionage and guerrilla warfare. What he was leading that.
Actually, it was a guerrilla unit.
He was leading. So this guerrilla unit, he from here many spying activities carried. People, even of INS spies, they even marched up to 100 miles behind the enemy lines. To destroy the enemy lines over there.
And to get information at their positions.
Positions over there. So, and they are very interesting.
That's very interesting. And
we came across the cookies song. A cookies song was very popular there.
Yes.
That the Japanese are coming, Japanese planes are coming from the east.
And
the British, you will have to run away.
Our Naya government, Naya Sarkar.
The most Netaji is considered as their king,
King.
And we have found accounts that small children, when these British aeroplanes will drop leaflets asking the INA to come back and join the British Indian Army, these children will make paper kites out of these pamphlets and fly those kites, They would enjoy that. Very interesting information in this. And even, this whole Manipur Imphal area, what is the distance, you see? It's not much. Even I have some thing in Kiani's write-ups, where he says that when the withdrawal aspects were there from Imphal and all,
Kohima front.
The Nagas,
they requested not to leave.
They requested
not to leave.
Not to leave. You are our Sarkar. We don't want to go to the British.
Whatever food we have, we
will share the food with you, whatever food we have and all, but please don't retreat from these regions.
And retreat decision was very pathetic, no doubt.
The irony of this battle is that our INA commanders, they wanted the Japanese to leave a corridor for the British to retreat.
Yes.
like Arakan.
Yes,
Like Arakan.
that's a very vital thing.
But somehow the Japanese commander
Did not agree.
And they surrounded.
They surrounded.
And a time came
It was
when the British forces were going to surrender.
Yes.
But
some treacherous persons, four treacherous persons from the Azad Hind camp crossed over.
And they told the British, why are you surrendering?
This was one treacherous thing on this side.
The things got
other mistake on the Japanese side, not to accept the Netaji's decision to give a corridor for the British Indian Army to retreat.
No,
had that been, we could have the whole of the Imphal in our hands.
Affected these battles here was the long supply chain.
Long supply, no doubt.
And
but
the weather conditions which might
yes,
rain
that's
and
other
malaria,
things, sir.
And in fact, more people died of malaria and disease over there when they were going back to.
But let me discuss, because it will be longer. Even if this is our small victory for a small area of vast India, but that decided the fate of British Empire on this globe.
Oh, definitely.
That decided. Because you see, about 10 years back, there is a big conference of the historians of England in the Royal Historical Society of England. They told among the 4 important wars in the British military history, Imphal Kohima front history decided the fate of the British Empire.
No, not only that, it is considered this empire and this area battle
most important
as the most fierce battles in the world.
It was hand-to-hand fight.
And we are getting very interesting things of these battles.
Yes.
When the Russians were not there for INA and all, what the Azad Hind Fauj soldiers will do, they will attack their convoys. And when they attack their convoys, they will search their lorries and all these things. And they are rushing them all. And a very interesting thing came up, which said that they called it Churchill supply. What are they?
Churchill supply line.
Churchill supply, And many of them gave their lives also defending this aspect. And one factor was the bombardment, because there was no air cover now coming over there.
Yes.
And mainly it was this air bombardment which forced Shaukat Ali Malik
to retreat.
To withdraw from Moirang, because otherwise the local support was there. We find another name very interesting, the name is not coming to my mind. This girl, with 50 people, she formed a regiment in Assam. And she moved towards Moirang. Joined the IN. But she, along with all her 50 other soldiers who were coming to fight.
Is it a lady?
It's a lady. She was shot, all 51 of them were shot by the British. It's not there in the book, this evidence I found later after finishing my book, that lady's reference came. So this also shows that how the Indians from different parts and the local people were looking now that our Azad Hind Sarkar is there in Moirang.
But Netaji was shocked on one point, that his desired response from the mainland of Bengal did not reach. He was shocked.
I'll tell you, there is a reason for it. The reason is
Bengal famine was continuing. Bengal famine.
One is Bengal famine. The other is that
engineered Bengal famine.
Massive propaganda which is being carried out by the British.
And Congress also. Congress
is a party to that.
Congress, Communist, all these.
Netaji and Communists and
all.
Netaji is
adverse propaganda.
Japanese imperialism.
Yes.
That became a very major factor in that.
All these things.
But the revolutionaries did go and join.
I will finish by the radio broadcast of Netaji Subhash Chandra Bose on this event. On this auspicious day of 14th April victory. I am reading that. The tricolor at Moirang. Now Netaji's broadcast on this issue. Our victorious troops, fighting side by side with the Nipponese troops, have pushed back the enemy and are now fighting bravely on the sacred soil of our dear motherland. We should have but one desire today, the desire to die so that the India may live, and the desire to face a martyr's death. so that the path to freedom may be paved with martyrs' blood.
That's so much so touching, what he said at that time. And this was celebrated all over Southeast Asia. The Azad in Akbar carried stories, Saigon in the paper from Singapore carried these stories, the Bangkok papers carried these stories and all. And it was big news, and this had totally alarmed the British in that. So it is in that context we find that lies the
importance of this
Moirang Day. And it is a sad thing again in history that
our historians here,
that the flag which was hoisted that
that is we have lost,
was presented to the then tribe.
But that is lost in the,
that is, we don't find it.
Where it is.
Where it is
we
now.
have not honored that flag.
Where find it is.
We have not preserved that with honor.
Recently I had been to Jabalpur last year, and there I met a family who had kept that sheet, what to use as a bed sheet.
Who was used by Subhash Chandra at one time.
Netaji in Tripuri, while addressing the Tripuri session, that was laid down there. And with honor that family.
Only lucky thing, one thing, the national flag, our tricolor, which was being used in the Saigon headquarters of our, that was presented by Ho Chi Minh when he came to India, into Calcutta airport 70. It was presented back to Mr. Das, that AC, that Mr. Das, who was one secretary of our.
But where is it now?
That after that I do not know the trace. I will try to see in Calcutta.
Where is it now?
It was presented back. I will show you the picture of presentation.
It is there. It's a national. It's a national thing,
Yes.
National property. It should be displayed in the museum at Red Fort.
And the historical, the one thing, first national flag hoisted in Andaman Nicobar, in Port Blair, on 31st December 1943, and here
then
on 44 in
Moirang.
They are the two very historic ones.
Third one. So, with this we feel that our
let us remember
have remembered the
our Moirang
importance of Moirang. Let us salute all our Azad Hind Fauj warriors who gave their lives. Let us salute the people of Manipur, because after the British came back into Manipur, they arrested many, they tried many, they deported many, some were shot also. So we salute those freedom fighters of ours who
they still remember these events and still respect INS soldiers, and
they still celebrate this.
One thing, let me 1 minute, I will take 1 minute. You see, for last 10 years, the Japanese, they have come in that front. They are in the jungles trying to find out skeletons, and by DNA matching they are trying to find out which are the remains of their ancestors who has lost life in the front. But the tragedy is we are not finding our heroes there, the remnants of. This is the difference.
The people. Cemetery there is looked after by the England people of their own people. This
is the difference of our attitude.
But I must tell the viewers one more thing, that I really appreciate Dr. Pal for this, that every year he celebrates the Moirang Day in Calcutta in a big way. Thank you, Dr. Pal.
नमस्कार.
हम लोग फिर मिलेंगे बहुत जल्दी एक और नए व्याख्यान के साथ. धन्यवाद.